for sure. The big key for the Hawks was getting Bogdan Bogdanovic, formerly of the Sacramento Kings, to sign an offer sheet and essentially renege a deal that had him going to the Milwaukee Bucks as a really key piece that would have sent Dante DiVincenzo out to Sacramento. Instead, Bogdanovic had other plans, so he's joining a team that also brought in Rajon Rondo, Chris Dunn, Danilo Gallinari. They're going to be able to surround Trae Young with shooters everywhere. Kevin Huerter's back. And then if you try to come out on their shooters, they just throw lobs inside to John Collins and Clint Capella. So it's really a nicely put together team. They obviously have DeAndre Hunter and Cam Reddish from previous drafts. And if they get coached up, they've got a shot to shock everybody and win the Southeast Division. Now, the Miami Heat have won that the past few seasons, although Orlando snuck in there for 1 year. Both of those teams are back and somewhat strong, but I really do think the Atlanta Hawks have a shot to win it all. And so for that price, it's worth sprinkling a little bit on that.
Good stuff. Yeah, the Bogdanovic deal was a complete mess. I can't believe he ended up on the Hawks after that mess. And I agree. I like Cam Reddish. Really good sleeper player that could really help this team. Steve Merrill, I'm going to you. We just got word that Giannis signed the Supermax. He is going to be a Milwaukee Buck for a long time. And you like the Bucks under their win total. I've got them at 50.5 wins at -115. What are you thinking about the Milwaukee Bucks this year?
Yeah, Andy, great to be on the show here with you guys. And just a couple big picture thoughts here with all these season win totals. First of all, by default, I'm leaning towards the under whenever possible. I do that with season win totals in all sports because, first of all, most of these season win totals are priced to what we know, all the players in the lineup and everything. So bad news can happen a lot easier than good news. And if a player gets hurt, for example, a lot of room for the under. And now with the COVID era, if a guy's out for 1 or 2 weeks with COVID, which is very likely, you also have some downside to the under. So I'm always looking to play unders, especially big totals. And the Bucks have the highest total in the league. They've had the best record the last 2 years. Didn't like what I saw, though, in the bubbles and the playoffs. They finished the last month of the season this summer with a losing record. They got bumped early in the playoffs. Hard to imagine they care about going 50-20 in the regular season. They've got bigger fish to fry. And I think they've learned their lesson their last 2 years with the great regular seasons and the underperformance in the playoffs. So I think if you're looking for some unders, you start at the top with the biggest total on the board and a team that has reason to sit some guys. And as you mentioned, Giannis just got the max deal, maybe a little complacency there as well. It's just a bonus. And they're working some new pieces into the puzzle. So once again, I like the Bucks under. By the way, the one over I do like is the Hawks. So I'm with Tony on that one, just because they're a deep team. So even if they lose some guys, they can make up for it with that bench. And also it's a lower total as well in the mid-30s. So once again, I'm looking for unders, but I do like that Hawks over as well.
Oh, good stuff. Yeah, they go all in on Drew Holiday. Hey, give them credit. They got, like you said, they got bigger fish to fry. They're going for a championship. I'm with you on that. Maybe not so much a bunch of regular season wins. Let's talk another big favorite. Andrew McGinnis, you like the Los Angeles Lakers under 47.5 wins. I got that at -115 as well. I'm with you, but what do you see about the Lakers and their under 47.5 wins this season?
Yeah, and we can make that a clean sweep as far as the Atlanta Hawks go. So nice to have that on the show and as a little consensus play as well. But to kind of move forward and kind of segue with what Steve was saying, you look at this. This is the shortest offseason in NBA history, 71 days, also a shorter season this season. And looking at it, I think we can all agree, any fan, handicapper, analyst of the National Basketball Association knows that LeBron James and this Lakers team played a complete different style of defense in the playoffs than we even were close to seeing during the regular season. And of course, playoffs is one thing, but they've made it very clear that they're not satisfied with how long this offseason was. They're not satisfied with how quickly we're going to get going here. And I think that they do not care about their seeding. They want to make the playoffs. They want to go ahead and get in there and then defend their title. Now picking up Gasol and Harrell. Those are defensive guys. They're not offensive guys. I think that we're definitely going to see situational nights where these players take some nights off and don't play their best basketball, leading us to taking them under 66.5% of their games.
Great stuff. I'm gonna continue the under trend with another high-profile team. I like the Brooklyn Nets to go under 44.5 wins. I don't trust any point guard who struggles with the concept of the earth being round. The Nets are 8-12 with Kyrie Irving, 17-16 without him. I do not trust Kevin Durant's health. This is a big injury that he's coming off of. DeAndre Jordan is playing big minutes for this team. I still am struggling to wrap my head around that. So I don't trust Kyrie. With LeBron, his record is 132-51. Without LeBron, he's 154-191. So I think he's overrated. I don't trust this team at all. They got a first-time coach, not a first-year coach, a first-time coach. Shamet can shoot the ball, but he can't guard anyone. I think they're a 500 team. I was stunned to see this 44.5 win total. I like the Brooklyn Nets to go under. Let's go to another high-profile guy, Zion Williamson. Tony, let's talk Pelicans over 33.5. And you got him to win the Southwest plus 600 for maybe a little sprinkle. What do you love about the Pelicans this year?
Well, you can't put any stock into most things that you see in the preseason. But one thing you do have to monitor is players like Kevin Durant coming off a major injury, or Zion Williamson, given what we saw from him with the kid gloves that he was treated with last season, and how he looks and how he's moving and whether he's gained a lot of weight over the last 72 days. And the answers to that are no, he looks pretty sleek, moving around really nicely. And now he's going to get prodded by Stan Van Gundy into playing defense at a pro level, because that's what Stan does. He nags you into defending. That's what he did in Orlando. I covered those teams for years. Heck of a coach. I really, really enjoy Stan Van Gundy, but he grates on players. And that could be a good thing for a team like the Pelicans that is going to learn how to win on the fly. They need Brandon Ingram and Lonzo Ball to have some consistency. But one of the under-the-radar moves in this offseason is adding Steven Adams. And Adams is going to be such a force, both as the linchpin defensively and the guy that sets some of the best screens in basketball. So he's going to get Zion more layups down low, JJ Redick more threes out on the perimeter. I really like New Orleans, and this is a play because it's plus 600 that also somewhat dives into Dallas being overvalued, Houston being in chaos with John Wall and DeAndre and DeMarcus Cousins coming on board, and James Harden wanting out. Memphis still probably not ready yet, and San Antonio, I think, going to run more this year. And you never write off Pop's team, except for the fact that they're probably not a divisional title contender for the Southwest. So that leaves New Orleans, and I think they're going to go ahead and win the division. You can cash in at plus 600 at a couple of shops. That's one of my favorite plays as well. My favorite play out west for sure.
Such great value to get 6-1 on that. Great stuff. Steve, let's talk another Los Angeles team, and we love these unders. So give me what you got about the Clippers. They obviously needed more playoff P. Being from Indianapolis, I got to watch a lot of playoff Paul George when he was here at the Pacers. Their win total is 48.5. You're liking the under. Talk to me about the Clippers.
Yeah, this is really a line value play for me, Andy. FanDuel has 48.5. Most other shops have 47. I even saw 46.5. 46.5, 47, I'd lean under, but I don't like it as much. 48.5, it's just really a line value, a bad number. And FanDuel's a readily available book at, a quarter of the states here in the U.S. now. So I know a lot of our viewers can play it. So I wanted to point it out there. And by the way, they're juiced higher on the Lakers as well. So I agree with Andrew. I'd play the Lakers under. And for the same reason I had the Bucks under, the Lakers and Clippers are like the next two as highest totals on the board. These are the three favorites to win it this year. And by the way, the Nets are up there in the future odds, and you mentioned them under. So you see the theme here, and I agree with all of you. We're playing the Class A teams to go under their regular season wins for a couple reasons. First of all, the lines are high, so you have a lot of wiggle room to the under. Any bad news, any sickness, any injury gives you a tremendous downside advantage. And then on top of that, these teams all played, except for the Nets, but they have a lot of new players to work into the mix, so I would agree with it for that reason. But the two LA teams, and of course Milwaukee, all went deep into the playoffs into the summer. Very little rest. They're going to have load management on a concise regular season after playing this summer. So I like the LA teams under, the Bucks under, and I would agree with Tony on the Pelicans over, although I'm trying to avoid overs for the downside risk that I've talked about. The Hawks and Pelicans both are in the low 30s. They both have been extra rested, and the Pelicans have a ton of upside with, getting the star back, obviously a real mishmash season for them last year. So I think there's a lot of upside talent. I agree with the Hawks and Pelicans over. I'm not looking to play overs, but those are two I would like.
Good stuff on the Clippers. Andrew McGinnis, I'm going to you. Denver Nuggets, I love this team, and you like them over 43.5 wins. What'd you see from the Nuggets that makes you want to take their over?
Yeah, I like this play quite a bit. And I think, I know Steve's a big numbers guy, and I'm definitely turning towards that as well with this season, looking at the shorter season and just looking at how the players have complained about shorter off seasons or how this free agency has gone. And with this team right here, first of all, coming back from being down 3-1 in back-to-back series, a lot of times we're talking about the bubble right now, depending on what sport it is, which players reacted well, which players didn't. I'll tell you a player that did really react well to it, and that was Jamal Murray. That was a guy that completely balled out. He looked comfortable out there, and he was, able to take over games. And a guy like Paul Millsap, who is someone that you might think that shouldn't be bothered by a bubble, he said that he wasn't happy with himself. He wasn't happy with his performance. I think we'll see a better effort out of him. Jokic is only getting better. I think that the more they establish offense around him, the more it's going to free him up in the post, a little more high-low action with him and Jamal Murray. In the back-to-back seasons, this team has won more than 63% of their games. We're asking them to win more than 60%. I think they're only going to get better. They've lost some presence in the paint, though, with Plumlee. I think that still is going to be all right with them. They're going to turn into more of a zone team and slow the pace down, which I think actually benefits this team. That many people might not agree with that, but I think that this is a team that has the pieces, has the scorers. They got to learn how to play great all-around team basketball, and I think they have the keys to do that. So just like we were saying, we're looking at some of these top-tier teams under, but I think Denver's going to be that team that's going to go full force. They're not going to take nights off. Wouldn't shock me to see them at the top of the West.
Nice, great stuff. Next play for me. I think the Detroit Pistons are the worst team in the NBA. I was actually, me and Andrew were texting and laughing about this. Like, this is legit. There's what is looking like their starting lineup. They're either going to have Derrick Rose or Killian Hayes, Delon Wright, Jeremy Grant, Blake Griffin, and Mason Plumlee. That's supposed to be a professional NBA basketball team that they're throwing out.
College team, Andy. Great college team.
Well, I will tell you, fantasy basketball. I will tell you, if you're playing in a fantasy basketball league and if you draft Blake Griffin, make sure you draft his knee late in the draft, because that is a knee injury and it's just waiting to happen. I mean, honestly, their team is made up of bench guys from other teams. I think Detroit is terrible. They have absolutely no upside. The future looks bleak for the Pistons. So I love Detroit under 23.5 wins. Tony, let's get into some player props. You got a Rookie of the Year pick that I love, and you got Most Improved. So talk to me about those guys. What do you like for those player props?
Yeah, I mean, to piggyback off your Pistons take, Christian Wood obviously blossomed while Blake Griffin was injured and then left town. I do like Jeremy Grant as for fantasy purposes, but I'm in agreement. Detroit, the Knicks probably fight it out for the worst teams in the NBA. And Denver, Michael Porter Jr. is in that most improved race, and he's got to take a step forward defensively, I think, most of all. My most improved player is Kobe White from the Chicago Bulls, and I think the Bulls have an opportunity to potentially sneak into second place in the Central Division behind Milwaukee if they get White to really blossom, and Otto Porter Jr. and Lauri Markkanen, Wendell Carter, guys that have been injured so much, they all need to stay healthy, and that Chicago could potentially take that step forward. But I like White as most improved, and I'm going to stay in that division. My Rookie of the Year pick, and I saw it at plus 3,000, is Isaac Okoro of the Cleveland Cavaliers. And Okoro steps into an area of need there on the wing because they have smallish guards that like to shoot the ball a lot, Colin Sexton and Garland. And I think that Okoro is a guy that gives them some stability as a two-way player. His first game in the exhibition season, he scored 18 of his 20 points in the fourth quarter and really looked the part, both from a maturity standpoint. Not a lot of people saw him at Auburn, but that kid is legit. And the fact that his odds are where they are tells you that odds makers are a little asleep at the wheel on him. Would not surprise me if he is in a year where the rookie class probably not as dominant as in years past. Okoro could step up and fill that need as a Rookie of the Year this season.
Great long shot, Steve. I want to go to you. You're liking LaMelo Ball Rookie of the Year, correct?
Yeah, and in general, I don't like to play the favorites in these props for a few reasons. So I like where Tony's going with the 30-1 long shot. I like where he's going with the 6-1 division payoffs. And one of the disclaimers I always use here, other than unders with season wins, just for the downside advantage I talked about. But with these future bets, keep in mind your money's being tied up, 5, 6, 7 months at times. Here in the shorter basketball season, maybe 5 months, but still that's half a year that money's not in your bankroll. Where in a normal case, every 3 hours the money's back in your bankroll when you bet a game. So I want more than a 4-1 payoff normally if I'm going to tie my money up for 5 months. But I think LaMelo Ball is going to win, and that's why he is favored. And at 4-1, there's a little bit of value still, I think, just because he's going to play a lot of minutes with the Hornets. And that's something a lot of these rookies don't get, is more than, 20, 25 minutes a game. So you want a guy that's going to play a lot of minutes. On top of that, he's a point guard, so he's going to have the ball in his hands more than any of these other rookies. And keep in mind, he didn't play in college. He played in Australia last year. And I looked at his numbers in Australia last year versus his older brother, Lonzo, who was at UCLA for 1 year. LaMelo had better numbers in a professional league than Lonzo had at UCLA in 1 year. So this is a guy that I think 6-7 rebounds, 6-7 assists, double-digit scoring in an Australian professional league last year as an 18, 19-year-old. So I think he could step in right now and play in the NBA level. And even though he's a favorite at 4-1, I still think he's going to be the guy that wins Rookie of the Year.
Good stuff. Last play for me. I live in Indianapolis. I follow my Pacers. It's juicy. They're minus 167 on various sports books, but minus 167 to make the playoffs. I mean, this is a team that was pretty good last year, 45-28. In the Eastern Conference playoffs, I have penciled in the Bucks, the Heat, Celtics, probably the Raptors. I'm going to go ahead and give it to the Nets, even though I like their under. But other than that, you're left with teams like the Cavaliers, the Hawks, I guess we could put in there, Bulls, Pistons, Magic, Knicks, Wizard, Hornets. I'm telling you, the Pacers are way better than these teams. I think they're going to push for the 4 or the 5 seed, 6 seed at worst. Very stable franchise. And I like that they're not dependent on one particular superstar. They have a very balanced lineup. Unfortunately, we get to watch Miles Turner run up and down the court. Sometimes I don't know if he knows what he's doing, but he's always good for a laugh once a game. So that's my last play. Let's go through some other teams. Let's go through some high-profile teams, and I'm just going to throw teams out, and you guys tell me what you think. We got to talk Boston Celtics. They're a title contender, 48-24 last year. They lose Gordon Hayward. They add Tristan Thompson. Marcus Smart. His total for points, assists, and rebounds was just a huge moneymaker, player prop in the playoffs. So I'll throw it out to you guys. What do you guys think about the Boston Celtics this year? Any value? Maybe a title? Maybe Tatum MVP? Anything? What do you guys like about the Celtics?
I'll tell you what, guys, I'll start because this is actually one play. When I was trying to find a pick to win the East, win the West, win the whole thing, the Celtics were actually the team I had in the back of my mind, Andy, so I'm glad you brought them up. I didn't use them because, the Nets are favored, although I'd be very cautious of that because a lot of uncertainty there. The Raptors are always dangerous, but I feel like maybe they've passed their prime. And then you look at teams like, I'm not a big believer in the Sixers. We saw they were exposed in the bubble this past summer. And the Heat, I like the Heat. I think the Heat are the team of the future in this conference. But I'm always reluctant to play against a team that just lost in the finals, whether it's the Super Bowl or any other sport. So that kind of left me with the Celtics, actually. So that would probably be my pick to win the East if you're looking for some line value.
Daniel Tice, I think he leads the league in getting hammered on the offensive end and not getting a foul called for him, and then he gets called for a weak moving screen 50 feet from the basket. I love watching that guy get bad calls called against him. Tony, Steve brought up the 76ers. Obviously, we are going to hear about the 76ers a lot. There's trade rumors with Harden, 43-30 last year. What do you expect from the 76ers from a betting standpoint this year?
Well, I mean, they lose Josh Richardson, which is a quality piece, but they had to do that to get some shooters. So that they've gone from a team that really was deficient from the perimeter to one that has Seth Curry now and some other shooters in place. And Tobias Harris is supposed to take a step forward. And Ben Simmons may actually shoot the ball from three-point range this season. Cross your fingers on that. So Doc Rivers is pulling the strings. That there'll be good for some enthusiasm there, but that division is just really tough. And to talk about the Celtics, Kemba Walker is out for a few months due to a knee procedure. They lost Hayward, who is, when healthy, was a catalyst offensively for them. Lost Brad Wanamaker, was one of their best guards off the bench. So I've got question marks about Boston and Philadelphia and Brooklyn because Steve Nash. I think he'll get the most out of Kyrie Irving, but it might take a while of extracting a tooth. So Toronto to me is by default the team that I would favor in the Atlantic Division, but it's a loaded division, so the win totals for all of those teams could be impacted as a result.
And
yeah, good stuff. Yes.
If I can jump in here with these two teams,
absolutely,
the Celtics and the Sixers, I'll say, first of all, with the Celtics, I got to say, you talk about Daniel Tice. The inside presence is one thing. You can have that guy that is kind of like your workhorse, so to speak. But Tristan Thompson, I'm not saying he's the most skilled guy in the league, most skilled big man, but he actually has been on a big team, obviously. And this is the thing with him. He's going to be committed to protecting the paint. I think that the more that the game changes, the more it stays the same. What I mean by that is that there's always going to be your super teams. It's always going to be your flashy players, but every team needs a guy to protect the paint, to play his role. And I think that's really going to help this Celtics team. That just added a whole new piece to their team to help consistently have a guy down there to protect the rim. They were already a pretty good defensive team. I cashed a lot of unders with them during the playoffs last year, and I expect even more of that moving forward this year. So I like this team. They got Teague as well. I think it's just more and more options, more and more space on the floor. But as far as this Sixers team go, I'm a Raptors fan. Obviously, I'd love to see them do well again. And I think that their depth is still unmatched, and they do have so many options on the floor. However, look at Danny Green. Look at Seth Curry. I know Danny Green didn't have a great playoff performance. He wasn't shooting the lights out by any means, but he still has that history behind him. He still has that name, and we all know what he's capable of doing. Also, Seth Curry. He's a guy I think has gone so underrated for a long, long time. And sure, he's been talked about a little bit more, but he's still Steph Curry's brother. And that's still what he's going to be for a little while until he starts, playing some big minutes and hitting some big shots for the 76ers team. I grew up playing post, playing down low, playing basketball. And I think Joel Embiid is a guy that he's been looked down upon for taking too many 3-point shots, taking too many bad shots. Well, he's felt that he hasn't had that space in the paint. He hasn't had that separation. You add Seth Curry, you add Danny Green, all of a sudden, when someone's driving to the hoop, they have a corner shooter out there waiting for the ball. And then Joel Embiid is in the paint waiting for it as well. Before, there were no options. Ben Simmons is 1 for 100 in his career in 3-point attempts. It's more options, more depth. I hate to say it, but I like the Sixers club.
Well, I mean, we're going to stay on you because you got to give us your Toronto Raptors take. They lose Serge, they lose Marc Gasol, Lowry and Van Fleet look great in the bubble. Siakam kind of melted a little bit in the playoffs, but he was awesome in the regular season. I mean, a great regular season team, 53-19. You probably follow the Raptors. What are you thinking from them this year?
Well, first of all, I think Tony was mentioning about when you want to watch preseason and what you want to take out of it. How about a guy like Malachi Flynn, someone that I was shocked to see go that far in the draft, especially after seeing what he's done against the Charlotte Hornets and the way that he's performed, looking very comfortable out there on the floor. And he's someone that I think will, milk some minutes right away for this Raptors team. But I'll continue to say the same thing about this Raptors team that I have been saying over the past 2 to 3 years. And it's not going to be as effective this year, but they still do have so many secondary scoring options. And that's what's really separated this team over a lot of other teams is that, some people, some handicappers will say, hey, it's all about having the 2 best players on the floor. I disagree. It's about having a different guy that can come off the bench and hit a couple of free shots. Look at Norman Powell. He's a guy that can step up any given night. OG Anunoby hit that big 3-pointer in the playoffs. He's somebody that can go out there and sink some big minutes defensively and offensively. Fred VanVleet, he's a guy, again, in the preseason. I've been watching him because you know what? He just signed a huge deal. The pressure's on him now. There's no big story. There's no Cinderella story with this guy. The pressure's on. So I think just like the past couple of years, even though they won a championship, this team will have something to prove. But they're up against a stacked division. I think they're going to be in a little bit tough. So it'll be a battle for them. I would probably look under for their wins, unfortunately.
All right, and it wouldn't be an NBA show if we don't crush the New York Knicks. Steve, I'll give you the first opportunity to go over the Knicks. Fun fact, worst free throw percentage in the league. They were the only team to shoot under 70% from the free throw line. Their big additions, Alec Burks, Nerlens Noel, and Austin Rivers. Yeehaw. So, Steve, is this going to be another horrible season from the New York Knicks?
Yeah, and then you look at the 4 teams in the division with them: Toronto, Brooklyn, Boston, and Philadelphia. Maybe the other best teams other than the Bucks in the entire conference. So, yeah, there's really nowhere to go but down for the Knicks this season. Unfortunately, I don't really see a way to profit from it. You're going to be playing a very low season win total. It's just tough to take advantage of it. But, yeah, I want nothing to do with the Knicks.
Tony, we're about ready to wrap up. Are there any other teams that you're excited to watch this year, even if it's not from a betting standpoint, just that you think they're going to be fun?
I mean, the Warriors have Steph Curry back, so that'll be nice to see. And I want to see if he can get the most out of Andrew Wiggins. Can somebody get that guy to consistently tap into his potential? Could be Curry. I really like Kelly Oubre and how hard he plays. I thought Wiseman was the top prospect in this draft. They're actually pretty sound in the middle with Kevon Looney back. If he's healthy, he's a nice screen setter as well. Draymond Green obviously is a piece that gets it done on both ends of the floor. So can the Warriors make a dent with the Clippers and Lakers if there's any sense of those two teams deflecting the regular season's importance? Can we see Golden State rise up? Certainly it won't help their cause. That the Chase Center won't be packing fans in until March at the earliest. But when they do have a home court advantage, I expect San Francisco to quickly be one of them. One of those places they hate to go the way they hated to go into Oracle and Oakland. We'll see what Minnesota brings to the table with Anthony Edwards joining that team and Karl Anthony Towns more focused. But as far as a fun team that I expect to be there when the playoffs get to 4 teams in both conferences, I think Golden State is at the top of my list.
Yeah, that's a team I don't want to see in the in the playoffs if Steph gets going. All right, guys, we're going to wrap it up. Steve, give me 10 seconds. Where can we find you, and what are you looking forward to 2021? What's going to be on your slate of things?
Yeah, my page, Steve Merrill, WagerTalk.com, and looking forward to the basketball season starting the pros because we started the college season 9-1, 90% the first few weeks in college too. So just a great time to be making money. All sports access pass right now on my page, Steve Merrill, WagerTalk.com.
Andrew, give us 10 seconds. What can we look forward to? I know you got hockey coming up.
Yeah, I can't wait for hockey, of course. But you know what? A lot of people like football, and that's their sport. My sport is basketball. Obviously, hockey is what I'm known for as well. But college basketball has been great, hitting 64% since early December. And NBA ended last season on a great note. Looking forward to breaking down with my clients. We'll have future bets. We'll have prop wagers every single day, just like yourself, Andy. Looking forward to kind of the expanded version. The more the betting industry moves forward, the more we can give out props and different plays like that. Find me at WagerTalk, all sports handicapper.
And Tony, you've come in and made a huge splash for WagerTalk. Congratulations, man. Great record. What can people expect from you moving forward?
Oh, I appreciate that. I mean, NBA is my area of expertise. I covered it a national beat last decade. I got to know a lot of people and got some insights on what wins on a day-to-day basis. So NBA is an area of strength. I hope to bring that here at WagerTalk. I am number 1 in college football for both percentage and profits. So hopefully close out on a high note in the bowl season. But you know how bowls go. It's who's engaged and who's interested in playing. And that's doubly so in the COVID era.
Oh, great stuff. Excited for 2021. I'm over 60% head-to-heads in golf, in NASCAR. Looking forward to a big season for NBA player props. Doesn't get better than that. That's Andrew McGinnis. That's Tony Mejia. That is Steve Merrill. I am Andy Lang. You can find us on WagerTalk. Thank you guys for joining in to make a lot of money this NBA season. We've got a big opportunity here, a lot of value on the board, and you guys have some incredible handicappers at WagerTalk.com to guide you along the way. Gentlemen, thank you so much for doing this. I was so stoked for the show, and I'm so glad to have you guys there. Don't forget to catch all of us on WagerTalk.com. Hope everyone makes a lot of money. let's get this NBA season started. Good luck, everyone.